Hello, learning enthusiasts! Welcome to another episode of Learning. This is your teacher Marlene, and we will start another chapter in Mathematics 9, which is about the radicals. And before we start discussing radicals, there are some prerequisite topics that are included in this chapter. So, to start, we are going to discuss the integral, zero, and negative exponents. Let us first describe the following terms. The exponent. It is a number written on the top right side of a quantity to indicate how many times that quantity is used as a factor in multiplication. Remember, in writing exponent, it is higher and smaller. The base of a power is the quantity that is multiplied by itself one or more times. Power of a quantity is the product obtained when a quantity is multiplied by itself one or more times. Sometimes, there are some misconceptions in using the term power as exponent, so avoid using the term power in reading exponent. If we put this into symbols, the numbers 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 or 2 is written 5 times as a product, where we can simply write 2 raised to 5, which is equal to 32. 2 is recognized as our base or base of the power. 5 is denoted as our exponent. And of course, 32 is known as the power of the quantity. In addition to the parts, remember also that any number raised to zero exponent has the value of 1. Even a big value and variable joined together in parentheses but with zero exponent outside will be having 1 as the value. Another thing to remember in simplifying numbers with negative exponent, take its reciprocal to make it positive. So, the simplest way of taking the reciprocal is by writing x raised to negative m into denominator since it is on numerator, and y raised to negative n in denominator should be written in the numerator to make them positive. Now, in simplifying integral, zero, and negative exponents, we have to consider and follow the law of exponents. Let us tackle them one by one. The first one is law of exponent for product, which states that in multiplying any real numbers with the same base, copy the base and add their exponents. Let us put this into symbols. If a raised to m is multiplied to a raised to n, since a is the common base, we have to copy this and add exponents m and n. So we will get a raised to m plus n. Now let us have some examples. If x cubed is multiplied to x raised to 7, let us copy x as the common base and add exponents 3 plus 7, which is 10. So, x raised to 10. This is the simplest form. For example number 2, m raised to 10 times m raised to negative 8. Let us copy the common base m and add exponents 10 plus negative 8, which is the same as 10 minus 8 or 2. So, we have m squared, and this is our answer. For the next example, x raised to negative 3 times x raised to 7. Let us copy x and then raise to negative 3 plus 7. And negative 3 plus 7 is equal to 4. So x raised to 4. This is our simplest form. Let us proceed to the next law of exponent, which is the law of exponent for power of a power, which states that if a real number is raised to an exponent but is raised to another exponent, copy the base and multiply the exponents. Where in symbols, a raised to m is raised to n. This can be solved by copying the base a and multiply the exponents m and n. So a is raised to mn. Let us apply this in our following examples. If a raised to 5 is raised to 6, this can be simplified by copying the base a raised to the exponents of 5 times 6. So a is raised to 30. This is our answer. Another one is 3 squared is squared. So 3 is raised to 2 times 2 is 3 raised to 4. And multiplying 3 4 times, it is 3 times 3 equals 9 times 3 is 27 times 3 is 81. So 81 is the simplest form. As much as possible, all numbers raised to an exponent must be simplified. Now let us consider the next example. A raised to negative 5 is raised to negative 6. Let us copy the base a and multiply negative 5 times negative 6. We obtain a raised to positive 30, since multiplying negative to negative will give us positive. Next, if 3 raised to negative 2 is squared, we have to copy the base 3, then multiplying negative 2 times positive 2 will give us negative 4. Now, since we have a negative exponents, we're going to simplify this by taking its reciprocal. So that is 1 over 3 raised to 4. Again, simplifying 3 raised to 4, multiply 3 4 times, and we will arrive at 1 over 81. And this is the simplest form. Another law of exponent to remember is the law of exponent for power of a product, which states that in simplifying any real numbers with exponent that is raised to another exponent, copy the base and multiply the exponents. In symbols, the product of a raised to m and b raised to n is raised to p. This can be simplified by multiplying their exponents. So a raised to mp, b raised to np. Let us apply this in the following examples. The product of AB is raised to 6. So A and B denoted with exponent of 1, which is invisible. Remember, exponent 1 is not to be written because that is automatic and understood to be 1 quantity. So, A is raised to 1 times 6 and B is raised to 1 times 6 also. So, we have A raised to 6, B raised to 6, and this is the simplest form. In our second example, the product of 2b cubed c squared is raised to 2 or is squared. Let us show you in detailed process. Every exponent of each term is multiplied to the exponent outside. 2 raised to 1 times 2, b raised to 3 times 2, and c raised to 2 times 2. And we will get 2 raised to 1 times 2, that is now 2 squared, which is 4. B raised to 3 times 2, which is B raised to 6. And C raised to 2 times 2 is C raised to 4. So, we have 4, B raised to 6, C raised to 4 as final answer. Now, simplify the product. A raised to negative 2b is raised to negative 6. Let us distribute negative 6. So, A raised to negative 2 times negative 6 is positive 12. So, we have A raised to positive 12. Then, B is raised to 1 times negative 6. So, we have B raised to negative 6. Since B is raised to negative 6, we have to take its reciprocal. So, we will get A raised to 12 over B raised to 6. And this is our simplest form. Now, let me discuss the next law of exponent, which is the law of exponent for quotient. Remember that in dividing any real numbers with the same base, copy the base and subtract their exponents. In symbols, x raised to m divided by x raised to n. So we will get x raised to m minus n. Now, in using this law, there are 3 possibilities. First, if m is greater than n, or the exponent in the numerator is greater than the exponent in the denominator, the result is with positive exponents. Otherwise, if m is less than n, or the exponent in the numerator is lesser than the exponent in the denominator, the result is with negative exponent, where you need to simplify it by taking its reciprocal. And lastly, if m is equal to n, or both exponents in numerator and denominator are 0, then the result is 0 exponent, where you simplify it further because the value is 1. Let us apply in the following examples. 12m cubed is divided by 3m. So we have to divide the constants 12 and 3, and then copy the base m raised to 3 minus 1. So 12 divided by 3 is 4. Then copy m raised to 3 minus 1, which is 2. So 4m squared is our answer. Next example, 2 cubed a squared is divided by 2 raised to 6 a raised to 6. The common bases are 2 and a. So subtract their exponents. 2 raised to 3 minus 6, a raised to 2 minus 6. So we will get 2 raised to negative 3, a raised to negative 4. Since the negative exponent is observed, we're going to take its reciprocal. So 1 over 2 cubed a raised to 4. And simplifying 2 cubed, we will get 1 over 8a raised to 4. And this is our final answer. Now, if the given is 32b raised to 6 divided by 32b raised to 6. So 32 can be expressed as 2 raised to 5. Applying the law of exponent for quotient, 2 raised to 5 minus 5 times b raised to 6 minus 6. It becomes 2 raised to 0, b raised to 0. Since 2 raised to 0 is equivalent to 1 and b raised to 0 is also equal to 1 as indicated in our rule that any number raised to 0 exponent has the value of 1. So our final answer is 1. Now let us simplify the quantity of 2x squared y raised to negative 3 divided by 2 raised to negative 2 x y squared and raised to negative 2. Simplifying what is inside the parentheses, we will get 2 raised to 1 minus negative 2. So that is now 2 raised to 1 plus 2 or 2 cubed. For x as the base, that is raised to 2 minus 1. 2 minus 1 is 1. So simply, we have x. And for y, raised to negative 3 minus 2, that is equivalent to negative 5. So the whole quantity is raised to negative 2. So it becomes 2 cubed x y raised to negative 5 is raised to negative 2. Then apply the law of exponent for power of a product. In detailed solution, it will be 2 raised to 3 times negative 2. That is now 2 raised to negative 6. X as the base, raised to 1 times negative 2, that is equals x raised to negative 2. And for y, raised to negative 5 times negative 2, that is y raised to 10. So multiplying them, we will arrive at 2 raised to negative 6, x raised to negative 2, y raised to 10. Then simplify those with negative exponents by taking its reciprocal. So we will arrive at y raised to 10 over 2 raised to 6 x squared. And finally, simplify 2 raised to 6 by multiplying 2 6 times. So we will get y raised to 10 over 64 x squared. And this is our simplest form. Well, I hope I made the rules of exponents clear. Don't hesitate to give your comments or ask your questions for more clarifications. I am very much willing to answer you. And let me remind again the life's lesson that rules are useful guidelines and generally should be heeded, but blindly following them eventually and inevitably leads to disaster. This is Ramus by L.E. Modestit Jr. Thanks for watching. Happy learning!